Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga-Texas construction update video.
Well, welcome back to Giga-Texas. It's Wednesday, the 22nd of March. And as you can tell by the camera, the winds have really picked up out here. So it made a little bit difficult flight, but I was able to get it completed today. One thing I want to talk about, as you can see here, it's been in the news in the last day or so that there's a potential for another 9,000 ton gigapress to arrive here at Giga-Texas. So I've got my eyes out to try to see if I can find that. And actually I saw some very interesting deliveries to the casting machine structure today. As you can see here, there's a very heavy lift trailer that just brought some pretty large equipment that was unloaded before I got here. And then two large crates were delivered and then moved inside as well. So it could be related. But as much as we're all interested in the Gigapress, there are a lot of other production equipment that is necessary to be able to increase production and start work on the Cybertruck. So let's talk about another set of equipment that I noticed arriving in the last couple of days here at Giga-Texas.
In my previous video, I noted these items being delivered right at the plastics manufacturing section of Giga-Texas. And they were very interesting. I was able to get a couple of close-in shots, as you can see, but I wasn't sure exactly what these were or what the implications are. But thanks to my Patreon Desi Doolin, we now know. So let's take a deeper look. With a little bit of research, we found that these are Conair S-Series granulators, and this inset image gives you a good idea what it looks like without all of the wrapping that we saw when they were delivered here at Giga-Texas. Now, I have a couple of links at the bottom of the screen, one's for the company website, and one's to a detailed data sheet PDF if you'd like to have more information. But these are screenless, slow-speed, beside-the-press recyclers, and they are used where you have metered robot or conveyor feeds besides small injection molding machines. And they are quiet and efficient, and they use screenless cutter housings to produce some consistently sized granules for recycling. So you may be wondering, what are injected molded items or injected molded plastics? And as you can see on the left-hand side of the screen, it's actually quite a bit of parts that are needed to finish out the vehicle. And there's a variety here that you can see in that left-hand side of the screen. On the right-hand side of the screen is some other items that you may be familiar with. Plastic bumpers, parts for doors, as you can see here at Giga-Texas during Cyber Rodeo, and even parts for the roof liner, as you can see at the bottom of the screen. One of the reasons why I'm excited to see pieces of equipment such as these recyclers being installed here at the plastics injection molding section of the factory is that this indicates further production capacity increases to support items such as the new Cybertruck. You may not realize, but there are hundreds of injection molded plastic parts that make the completed vehicle. And in this case, for the Cybertruck, here's some images to give you some ideas of where you would find them. On the exterior, that would be the wheel covers, bumpers, and those fender liners. On the rear, you can see the truck bed lining. The entire section has injected molded parts underneath the body and also on the interior as well. And without injected molded parts, the Cybertruck would just basically be a steel shell. So it's important not only to be focusing on things like the Gigapress, but also on injection molding processing and production capabilities, such as we're seeing here with this equipment being delivered. Now, as I mentioned, these granulators are very flexible in their applications, and this inset image on the right from the PDF data sheet that you have the link for at the bottom of the screen gives you some ideas of how it could be installed. Everything from hand feeding and robot feeding to conveyor feeding and vacuum takeoff evacuation to compressed air and vacuum system processes as well. So I'm not sure exactly which method they'll be using here at Giga-Texas, but I would bet probably conveyor or robot feeding. So there you have it, a quick overview of some parts that we saw arrive here at Giga-Texas, where they were delivered, what the implications for that section of the factory are, and also probably for products such as Cybertruck. Again, take a look at the links at the bottom of the screen if you'd like more information, and I do hope that this overview and discussion was helpful. So let's get ready to get into the drone and fly around Giga-Texas and see how it looks today. A special thank you to all of my outstanding Patreons for your continued encouragement and support. Patreon members get access to hundreds of high-resolution photos, previews of the future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga-Texas. Well, as you can see, it's a misty, little bit of rain, and gradually increasing windy day here at Giga-Texas, but we were able to fly a full duration and see quite a bit today. We'll start off here on the west side, and I'm showing you near where this lift station for the sewage is installed. We can see this clearing next to the landscape trees waiting for planting around the site. Looks like just a little bit of pipe work remains until they continue to finish up this section. Next to this landscaped area, what we see here is some of the plants that were temporarily placed by the cyberberms next to the entrance for Investor Day have been moved here, and we see those concrete obelisk kind of items on the pallets waiting to see where they will be installed and what they will be used for. The main entrance itself, you can tell that not only have they cleared the gravel, the grass, and the plants, but they're now doing some new excavation in kind of a triangular pattern on either side of the cyberberms. Also covers for where we may see some lights, and that black material on the cyberberms I believe will be removed, and we'll see concrete work as well. So as you can tell, quite a bit of reconfiguration and preparation for additional construction here at the main entrance. Always changing here at Giga-Texas. So let's proceed a little bit farther to the south and take a look at some developments down at this site as well. Here we see some interesting work. The windows are being covered over as if to continue the white staining on the exterior concrete walls proceeding to the north. And in addition to that, we see some work on the receiving docks and the load levelers, and also that open section with the windows that was removed in my previous video. And as you can see, there's activity inside. Looks like some truss structures, some other equipment, and as you can tell by some of the rope material, it's quite windy here today. But a lot of activity, and some people think that this may be where a temporary loading platform is relocated. We'll see. You can also tell all of the asphalt has been removed next to the building, and this parking lot that is near where this dewatering and the cistern installation is going on. You can see that workers are continuing to configure and prepare this for final construction. We can also see next to this section that has all the asphalt removed, the bypass for the underground stormwater pipe has now been connected here. And also on the left-hand side, you can see that some of the old pipe has been cut away, and they're continuing to work towards the center of all of this ground and dirt section to remove more of that old pipe. And they're doing this bypass so that they can allow construction to begin here. This kind of a small excavation in the left side of the screen is where they've removed some of these smaller corrugated pipes, and it looks like they're doing some more reconfiguration work here. But all this is being done to allow construction to begin, as the steel pipes are not really load-bearing and you can't really build on top. Here you can see next to these kind of reddish beams, a lot of the corrugated pipes that's been removed and crushed and ready for recycling. I also see this interesting new trench that's going up towards the base of the wall, and it looks like there's a concrete vault in that area where the excavation work is going on, so that'll be something to monitor. We can also see quite a bit of the concrete that used to be here for the superchargers has now been broken up all along the base of the building, and some of the sections getting ready to be picked up by this truck. The platform continues to be very busy. We see large steel pipes being moved inside, and that truck has got quite a bit of those as well. So for now, this platform is being used here, but as I mentioned earlier, it may be moved over to where they removed the windows on that southwest side. As I pan the drone back towards the construction site here, I'll bring the drone up just a little bit, and you can see some remnants of rain that we've had in the recent days and what's going on right now, but also worked to finish up the underground corrugated steel pipe bypass on this south end. And you can see where there's a little bit of excavation work here. One of the pipes still has got some scaffolding around it where they've done the connections, and they're filling in on the dirt where the rest of the pipe has already been connected as well. So soon we should see all of this ground covered up, all of the new bypass steel corrugated pipes, and once that is completed, then the site should be very close to being able to have construction resume. And you can see a lot of activity on this side as well, as they are filling in some of the trench work, removing some of the last remaining concrete vaults and other pipes and systems as well. Next to the wall here, you can see the two doors into stamping 2 where they're doing underground isolation foundations. You can also see all of the asphalt here has been removed as well, along with some pretty heavy lift orange trucks that recently brought some equipment into that section as well. As we proceed towards the southeast corner of stamping, again, more of the asphalt on the left has been removed. We can see some of the final work here to connect the bypass around this southerly area for the underground storm water pipe, and also some work here to remove some concrete parts and prepare to fill this area in. All of these blue parts here are for the stamping presses and metal forming machines in stamping 2. We can also see that some of that orange gantry crane has been moved, and the SPMT is waiting to be used as well. Some new equipment being stored next to the wall also. So as we go up over the power lines, I'll turn back towards the site and give you a good view from the east looking to the west across this south end, so you can see how the site continues to be prepared for that construction, which will begin pretty soon now, since all of that bypass work and the rest of the work to remove the old systems is nearly completed. So let's fly around here on the east side and take a closer look at some of the activity on this side of the building. And we're looking at some of these doors that go into the north part of the stamping machine structure, and also the south end of the body in white. And as mentioned, next to this platform and the two chutes where the equipment is coming out, this is where the Model Ys are now exiting the factory once the assembly has been completed. That particular Model Y is kind of dirty, as you can see. That's used by the end-of-line crews to ferry the drivers back and forth from this section over to the new car testing and calibration lot. As I pull away, I'll turn the drone back towards the east, and I'll just show you some of the activity here in this clearing where more of the dirt is being removed and transported over to another clearing just to the east of here, and we'll see that a little later in the video. Now return back to look at the east side here of the building. One of the things that's very interesting, you see this long line of new Model Ys, And I'm not sure if this is a change, if they're just parking them here temporarily because the lot is full, or what the reason for having them on that side of the building. But as I turn back towards the new car calibration, testing, supercharging lot, you can see it is quite full. A lot of employees here. You can also see them getting into that blue Model Y. Again, that's the vehicle that takes the drivers back into the building so that they can drive the cars back over here. And I know some people have asked why don't they use the self-driving feature, and at this point in time Tesla is not using that. They have the end-of-line drivers, as you can see, and for the foreseeable future I believe that is the way the operation will work here on this particular lot. And once these vehicles are completed with all of their testing and preparation, they move over to the new car staging and transportation lot. Here's a good view of that new turbo roundabout on this side of the building, and it looks like it's fully operational with all the markings, and the vehicles are using it. You can see some construction here next to those two leftmost receiving docks. That's kind of a small retaining wall that ends this receiving dock area. Some more concrete being removed in the bottom left, and that'll probably have some curbs, and quite a bit of the castings are being stored here as well. So a lot of activity continues with castings getting farther down the length of the east side of the building, as you can see. On the bottom right, you can see that blue entry for the workers and kind of a gated area across the road. More of the castings here, and what I want to highlight here is this black truck with these two crates. These are two of several deliveries this morning to the casting machine structure. And as mentioned in the intro, there's been some reports and some discussion on social media that there may be a second 9,000-ton Gigapress arriving soon. Some of the parts have already arrived at the Port of Houston. And what we see here is, in addition to those crates, we see there's a very heavy lift truck and trailer, and it unloaded something pretty heavy into the casting machine structure just before I arrived earlier today. And I'll kind of give you a view down. We'll turn around and I'll bring the drone down lower so you can get an idea of how this looks, and also those crates that just arrived on the left-hand side. By the time I finished flying my normal video and brought the drone in for the last time today, those crates were just being moved in to the building, and they were really moving quickly to get all these parts inside. So you can see a few more of the castings on the left here. Those are for scrapping. A truck with a very interesting yellow and red bar. And also, as we continue to fly to the north end here, it's a good view of how the north end paint shop and these two platforms looks. Very cleared out, not a lot of materials being stored here at all. We pass the plastics manufacturing doors here, and that's where we talked about those Conair granulators in the intro of the video. And then here at the battery cell production section, we see many of these large crates. Crews were actually disassembling some of the crates and then moving the materials up into the upper platform. And I caught a couple of still images of that, but it was they were not moving that when I was doing the video. As we continue to fly a little bit farther to the north, I'm showing you the construction site and the area that is being prepared for the eventual Megapack installation. Not only can you see that they've widened and made this a rectangular section, but they're now adding additional layers of top dirt before I think we're going to see some gravel. And this is another sign that they're getting close to the point where we may see additional construction for that Megapack. As we fly over the power lines, we get over to the permanent electrical switch yard where we see activity on the south end. More drilling operations to prepare the footings for more of the steel components. You can see quite a bit of that has already been completed. The forms have been removed, the concrete's been poured, and now they're starting to install some of these steel columns and other equipment just to the south of the transformers. We also see kind of two steel structures right next to the transformers, which are new as well. And this is another great sign that they're getting closer to having this portion of the electrical switch yard completed. As we continue further to the north, we can see that crews are now working on the two V-top circuit breakers, the last of the circuit breakers installed here. You can see the cabinets are open on both of them, and they're doing some wiring and other installation work to allow these to be functional. We also see final steel assembly near that last A-frame structure. Further to the north, we can see more of the wires being strung on the new poles on the upper left. Another one of the new poles is getting ready to be lifted and assembled onto that circular mount. We also see another one of the power poles being removed and disassembled. And you'll note all of these concrete trucks lining up. They are getting ready for another very large concrete pour, possibly the south end stamping 2 inside where they're constructing that underground isolation foundation. But here's a good overall view looking back towards the factory across the new electrical power station. So let's fly over to the battery cathode plant and take a look at what's going on in this complex today. As we fly along the north end of the battery cathode plant, we see quite a bit of activity going on. We'll start up here on the north end where we see more of the materials being stockpiled, particularly those red and blue items which look like they may be ducts. We see a concrete wall panel, some of the containers, and a few of the workshops up in this area as well. But this looks like it's starting to clear out, which means more and more of these materials are being moved inside. And this perspective gives you an idea of a new chute with a garbage bin on the ground level, work on the roof on the third floor, and also down on the receiving docks on the north end of the ground level. More of those wooden crates waiting to be unloaded and parts moved in. And we're going right over the cell test lab. More of the materials on this side, those Evapco components waiting to be moved to the west side from the east side. We also see more of the platforms have been installed in this open area, both doors. And on the left-hand side, you can see the fourth floor mezzanine is starting to take shape, along with more equipment being installed in that area. As we continue to fly towards the south along this side, you see more of the platform parts waiting here for assembly and moving inside. Both of the temporary platforms are very busy as well. And as we continue to fly towards the south and east, I'll turn back to give you a good view of the overall battery cathode plant complex. In addition, on the bottom of the screen, you'll see this section of buildings made up of containers and that kind of a covered section. That's the kitchen that is producing a lot of the food that is used for the employees and the workers while Giga-Texas is under construction. As we continue to fly west along the south end of the building, this is a good view of how this battery cathode plant looks, and the die shop now coming into view, and that alleyway in between. Looks like there's a truck delivering more wall panels, and we'll see that in a second. But I want to show you here the continued work on the ground slab, and there's several sections that are either dug down into the ground or raised up as well. And this slab is very thick. It's at least 2 feet thick, or maybe 0.75 meters thick. Most of the columns on the left have been painted white in anticipation of the wall panels installed. You can see the conduit being installed at the ground level here. And I'll fly around the yellow crane just to give you an idea of how the wall panel installation is progressing here. Now it is all the way up to the roof level on the north and the east side. You can also see some more of the ground slab work as well. One of the differences with the wall panels here is that they are waiting for the wall panels to be installed before they put the final roof insulation and weatherproofing, which is different than what we saw in the cathode plant and the main building as well. This galvanized structure continues to see quite a bit of work, and it's quite an intricate set of pipes and equipment that's being installed here. As we fly up towards this west material staging and workshop section, I'll turn back towards the die shop. This gives us a good view of that Martin Marietta concrete batch plant as well. And this shows you the progress of the wall panels being installed on this end of the building. Again, you can see how they've extended all the way up past the roof level. And once this is all completed, it will give it a square appearance despite the slope of the roof. As we look inside here, we can see continued work on this deep and heavily reinforced foundation section. Crews still have the wood and forms in place. They're continuing to put in more of the rebar. And just look at the workers, just give a good scale for the size and depth of this particular foundation. It still looks like we have a ways to go with rebar before we see concrete in this section. You can also see a lot of crates have been moved inside onto the finished sections of the ground slab, and some preparation work for ground slab on this west side of the building as well. So let's proceed down towards the south and take a look at a few other sections. First, this is the north part of the warehouse on wheels. It's being turned into a material staging location. You can see the amount of materials here, and especially in that green packaging, continues to grow larger as the days pass. The warehouse on wheels with the trailers continues to be very busy as well. It's a good view of some of the workshops and other materials stored on this particular side of the construction site. And also I wanted to show you the progress on this south clearing section. Again, this is where a lot of the dirt is being brought from that other clearing just on the other side of the trees. And as you can see, the overall grade is getting really close to being level across this entire area. So again, it'll be something I'll monitor to find out what they build here and how that will continue to transform as the coming weeks progress. But also, as we continue back towards the east parking lot, one of the things I wanted to show you is just the activity here at the new car staging and transportation lot. Also, the two new tents on this southeast corner. It's a very active site again, lots of trucks constantly arriving empty and departing full. And the vehicles continue to fill into this area at a pretty rapid pace. It's not sure exactly what the production rate is now, but it wouldn't surprise me if we're not close to about 4,000 per week now, or very close to that. So anyway, that's a good look at a misty, little bit of rain and windy day here at Giga-Texas. And if you look really closely at the door into the cash machine structure, you can see the last of those crates being moved inside. As always, thank you very much for watching and for your great support. I hope you have a great rest of the week. Thank you.